Hi, I'm Paul Arthur. This is Forum Daily West. Here are some of the top stories we've been following. 2 more youth hit in a crosswalk near a school. BCN speaks with students and police about this second incident involving students in as many months. Plus, Canada's election sees promises from all major parties, with both Liberals and Conservatives removing GST on new homes, while the NDP rolls out its plan for income tax reduction. And election campaigns kick off in Lethbridge, with Conservative MP Rachel Thomas announcing her run against Liberal Chris Spearman and the PPC's Clara Petalou. Thanks for joining us. Canada's election is heating up, with candidates making promises on all sides. Both the Liberals and Conservatives are promising to remove the GST on new homes. The Liberals to the tune of homes up to $1 million in value. And just yesterday, Tory leader Pierre Poilievre went a step further, announcing he would cut the GST all the way to $1.3 million homes. The day before that, Poilievre promised a tax cut to the lowest personal income tax rate.
Canada First Conservatives will cut income taxes by 15% for the average worker, or $2,000 for the average couple. This is a tax cut for seniors who are drawing their pension or retirement income. They will pay, on average, 15% less.
Poilievre also announced today that Conservatives would allow working seniors to earn up to $34,000 tax-free, an increase of $10,000 from the current level, while also allowing seniors to keep their RRSP accounts active for an additional 2 years. And the Liberals' Mark Carney campaigned that his government would use revenues from tariffs on American goods to support workers affected by U.S. tariffs.
We're acting to protect workers by using every dollar that we collect from retaliatory tariffs to go to workers. We are not changing the transfers to the provinces. We are not changing transfers to individuals. We are proud, and this is a huge difference between us and the Conservatives.
Carney also announced a $2 billion fund to protect manufacturing jobs affected by tariffs, as well as a plan to build more auto parts in Canada. Meantime, the federal New Democrats are rolling out their tax plan, announcing anyone making less than $178,000 would not pay taxes on the first $19,500 they earn, for annual savings of $505. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh also announced cutting GST from certain items and ways to help seniors.
We want to take the GST permanently off of your monthly bills that are essential, so that would be your internet, your cell phone, your home heating, and take it off of daily necessities like grab-and-go groceries, so like a rotisserie chicken at the grocery store, and children's clothing. And then for seniors and people living with disabilities, we know that the impact of things getting more expensive is going to hit them even harder. So we want to plan to lift up seniors. So we want to double the disability credit, so the disability benefit, and that disability benefit needs to be increased. We want to double it. And then we want to increase the GIS. That's going to help a lot of seniors lift them out of poverty by increasing the GIS.
Former Liberal Cabinet Minister Sean Fraser is returning as a candidate. This after he announced he was stepping down from Cabinet in December and would not be seeking re-election. Liberal leader Mark Carney says this is good news for the country, but the Conservatives' Pierre Poilievre says Fraser's return is just a sign the Liberals under Carney have not changed.
Sean Fraser is an exceptional public servant, and he took a decision to, for family reasons, to withdraw from public life, and I respected that. I regretted it, but I respected it. I and my colleagues have wanted Sean Fraser to come back and serve Canada at this crucial time.
You're going to have the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal MPs, the same Liberal strategists, making the same Liberal promises as they did to bring about the housing crisis if they're elected for a 4th term. Mr. Fraser was the one that brought the Century Initiative into immigration policy, a policy designed to increase our population to 100 million. With this massive uncontrolled population growth, he helped contribute to creating this crisis in the first place, and now Mark Carney and the Liberals say that he should be back.
Academic excellence, research innovation, and community engagement were the University of Lethbridge's commitments in its new strategic plan, which sets the course for the next 10 years. During its launch, presented last Tuesday, Dean Gallimore, U of L board chair, and other community members expressed the importance of this strategic plan. We will be right back with more news from Forum Daily West. As U.S. tariffs begin to impact Canada's economy, many Canadians are looking at the upcoming election as an opportunity to choose a leader that will stand up to Trump and put Canada first. But according to John Buchan, Tree 3 Consulting CEO and political and business strategist, Trump and his tariffs are not the main election issues.
I think the tariff war so far is more about posturing than actual harm. I think Trump's used it well as a negotiating tactic. The reality is, if fully implemented, it would be very damaging to his economy and his markets. So I think he's using it as a good tactic to apply pressure for what he's going to see as a better trade deal. I think the reality is we need to grow our economy. So our biggest problems are actually GDP per capita, slow growth, productivity, wages, housing. So I think that these are the main issues of the election, but I do understand that in the media, in the mainstream media, and in a lot of the minds of Canadians, tariffs are the number one thing. But again, I think that the best way to stand up to Trump is by growing our economy and making it as strong as possible. So then when we do have threats, we're not so panicked, because in the last 10 years, we've been very, very stagnant.
There have been reports recently playing up claims of Indian foreign interference to help Poilievre win the Conservative leadership race. Carney and the Liberals are jumping on this, saying it's proof Poilievre is unfit for office. Toronto Sun political columnist Brian Lilley explains how Poilievre is hitting back.
While Carney was advising Justin Trudeau as his economic advisor, he went to Beijing for secret meetings with top Chinese Communist Party officials. And shortly after that, Brookfield, his company, got a $250 million loan, a $250 million loan from a Chinese state-owned bank. And so Poilievre said, if anyone is conflicted by foreign interference here, it's Mark Carney.
Brian also gives an update on whether Mark Carney will take part in both French debates and how Poilievre is gaining support from unions. All that and more coming up after business news. Beijing's ambassador to Canada, Wang Di, says China is interested in stepping up trade with Ottawa as the U.S. continues to pursue a global trade war. Wang says Washington should not force Canada to choose between the U.S. and China because that would further destabilize the global economy.
I
think the international community should stand up together against this kind of behavior. We know that for many, many years, Canada has been a champion of free trade and multilateralism. And as you know, China's consistent position is that we advocate trade multilateralism, or what we call economic globalization. So I think at this point of time, all countries in the world, including China and Canada, should stand together to uphold the flag of multilateralism.
China has placed a 100% retaliatory tariff on Canadian canola oil and meal, which has our country's canola producers worried, and our governments are searching for alternative markets. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has suggested selling canola oil to oil companies for use in biofuels. Nathan Neudorf, Alberta Minister of Affordability and Utilities, says we must look for new avenues to diverse markets so that Alberta isn't restricted.
When you're faced with challenges, which will result in a very difficult time selling to one of the largest economies in the world, we have to find other solutions and other answers. And this is one where we think there's a great opportunity. Albertan companies are very innovative. And while, of course, our farmers, ranchers don't want to have to find new markets, they will do what they need to do to continue to make sure that we prosper as an economy. And selling for biodiesel, biofuels, is a great alternative. And maybe it fills the gap for a short period of time, maybe it fills the gap for a long period of time.
Catch the full interview with Minister Nathan Neudorf and BCN's Jeanette Rocher coming up later in the program. With less than 100 days until the official kickoff of the greatest outdoor show on earth, the Calgary Stampede announced that Canadian-born country music superstar Shania Twain will be the 2025 Calgary Stampede's parade marshal. Twain is a 5-time Grammy winner with more than 100 million albums sold worldwide. The Calgary Stampede runs July 4th through the 13th. The Western Hockey League has wrapped up the 2024-25 regular season, and the Lethbridge Hurricanes are gearing up for round 1 of the playoffs. The Canes finished 4th in the Eastern Conference after posting a 42-21-3 record and will face the 5th-place Brandon Wheat Kings beginning this weekend. The team has been adding notable players throughout the season in preparation towards a deep playoff run and have been taking the opportunity during the week-long break to gauge their opponent. When we return, we will have more of the top stories from the West with Forum Daily West. In local news, it's beginning to happen a little too often in our city. 2 more youths on their way to school, along with an adult, were hit by a car. This latest incident occurred Tuesday morning around 7:45 in the south of the city. BCN's Heidi Echevarria was on the scene and has the details.
Lethbridge Police Service responded to a report of a pedestrian collision where 3 people were struck by a vehicle in 3rd Avenue with 17th Street South.
That were actually in the crosswalk when the collision happened. One was struck and one was also hit by the vehicle or ran over by the vehicle, a little bit less severe. 2 of the 3 were transported to the hospital, where I believe one of them is going to be admitted to the hospital with serious injuries. It was a male driver.
Holy Spirit Catholic School Division reported the incident involved Holy Spirit students and a staff member. Meanwhile, classmates expressed concern about recent traffic incidents involving students.
A car hit one of my friends that is my classmate and her brother too.
And both in the hospital right now.
Yeah, they are both.
He has something in the head, but now it's
and in the foot, I think.
People should be careful when they are crossing the road.
So you need to be careful when you drive.
2 months ago, in January, another collision occurred in the same area, involving 3 elementary school students, resulting in serious injuries for one of them.
Unfortunately, we see this often, too often, where vehicles, as well as pedestrians, they need to be paying attention to their surroundings, the time of day. We believe, the sun may have been a factor in this collision. When they're crossing a street, they need to ensure that the vehicles on the road have stopped and that they see them, wave at them, point at them, ensure that eye contact has been made. And not just one vehicle, specifically in this case, there's 2 lanes. So technically there could be 4 vehicles coming from, 2 separate directions. So we got to make sure, each vehicle in each lane is stopped to, make it the safest way that they can cross. And obviously for the drivers, the same thing. They got to be paying attention to the surroundings. They got to be, making sure they're not on their phones or doing other things that are distracting them from what's happening around them.
For Bridge City News, I'm Heidi Echevarria.
The candidates for the Lethbridge riding ahead of the federal election have all been confirmed. Tuesday afternoon, Conservative Rachel Thomas formally announced her re-election bid at an event held in the city. She will try to maintain Lethbridge for her 4th term. BCN's Landon Hickok has more.
In the midst of what is promised to be an historic federal election, the incumbent Conservative Member of Parliament for Lethbridge is seeking a 4th term in office ahead of the upcoming April 28th federal vote. Rachel Thomas hosted her campaign kickoff event on Tuesday in a packed office space of supporters in Lethbridge. In her speech to the crowd, she credited the residents of Lethbridge as motivation to continue running.
My upbringing taught me to put people first. My upbringing taught me that I have the ability to make a difference. That if I see something in the world that isn't quite right, it's not someone else's to fix, but rather I have the ability.
Thomas will have a notable challenger in the running this year. Former Lethbridge Mayor Chris Spearman has entered the Lethbridge MP race as a Liberal candidate. Additional candidates confirmed in the Lethbridge riding include New Democrat Nathan Svoboda, Green Party's Amber Murray, and PPC's candidate Clara Pitolo. Thomas names the economy, affordability, and energy development and distribution as her top national priorities.
I have a strong record of advocating for this community. I want to be a good listener, and I want to be a strong representative in our nation's capital.
Thomas has been critical of current Prime Minister Mark Carney and his cabinet, arguing it's no different from Trudeau's administration over the past decade that she says has hurt Canadians.
Carney is a new leader, but the party is the exact same. His cabinet is 87% unchanged. So he's brought the same people to the table, the same people who have wrecked our economy, the same people who have prevented LNG from being further developed, who have prevented pipelines from going into the ground, the same people who have made housing unaffordable and totally out of reach for young folks. It's the same party with the same broken agenda that ultimately will break the backs of Canadians.
The Lethbridge riding encompasses other surrounding communities, including Coaldale, Colehurst, Picture Butte, Nobleford, and Barons. Thomas will be looking to maintain the riding for the federal Conservatives as it has been since the party's creation in 2003, as well as maintain her office position since her first win in 2015.